Joining us right now is Alexander Gladstone, senior reporter at Debtwire. Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Tell us about Debtwire and specifically what type of reporting you do.
Yeah, well, Debtwire is a news service or news analysis and intelligence platform, which is read by the hedge funds, the investment banks, the law firms, the consulting firms, and also some corporates. People who are dealing with and interested in distressed debt and restructurings primarily. And so we break news on distressed situations. So when a company is veering towards bankruptcy, we'll often have a sort of string of reports on the way, which sort of highlight the issues that the company is facing, and also break news on what is happening behind the scenes. You know, companies are bringing in lawyers and advisors, and there's deals going on to restructure the company. We often break news on that. We also have a team of lawyers who are writing legal analysis about certain kinds of credit issues. We have financial analysts who are writing credit reports. So it's sort of a comprehensive platform that people involved in the subpar credit space read. And in the industry, it's sort of the gold standard. And Debtwire is sort of the first information product that focuses on this market. We do compete with the mainstream media to some extent, and there's a few other competitors who've sort of replicated our model. But Debtwire has historically been the premier news service that focuses on distressed debt.
You were part of a panel today on the fourth industrial revolution. Will you give us a little bit of oversight on exactly what that means and how technology really is impacting corporate America today?
Yeah, well, the focus of the panel was about how e-commerce is impacting or disrupting the retail market. And so currently e-commerce represents about 12% of annual retail sales, which is up dramatically from previous years. So what we've seen is this particularly impacts low market retailers and the kinds of commoditized goods that people can easily buy online. So we've seen over the past year or so, we've seen a wave of retail bankruptcies, specifically in apparel, softline retail, because these are products people can easily buy them online. Groceries, we've also seen some restructurings and filings recently, but groceries is more the kind of product that you'd actually go there, you sort of want to go there and see it for yourself and pick out which products you want. That I would say the pressure in that space is from competition. And you know, Amazon recently bought Whole Foods. That put increasing pressure on margins in the supermarket space. But the most vulnerable sector, I'd say, is the mid to lower tier apparel market. And so we've seen a lot of restructurings in that space. Also, Toys R Us has been in bankruptcy for, I guess, a few months now. And Debtwire, actually, we were the first to break the news that Toys R Us was planning to liquidate its US operations, and the company subsequently confirmed that. So that's about 700 stores which are going to be shut down. So that's just a lot of vacant real estate hitting the market. And so the panel, we touched on the impact for the real estate market, and the expectation, I think, which is held by pretty much everyone on the panel, is that vacancy rates are going to increase in 2018. They increased in 2017 year over year, but that's expected to increase. And part of that is from the online competition, and also part of it is just more and more of these budget retailers going out of business, like Bebe and Aeropostale and
now Claire's.
Yeah, Claire's is the most recent one, and then the H.H. Gregg. There's been so many of these, Payless. A lot of these have just been going out of business. So the interesting thing, though, is actually overall brick and mortar sales were up in 2017. Surprisingly, both retail, e-commerce sales were up a lot, but even brick and mortar sales were up in 2017.
So because the economy's doing well right now.
Because of the economy, because of economic growth. But it's been heavily bifurcated, so a lot of that traffic and sales has been going to Class A malls, some higher end type products and stores and brands, where Class B and C malls have been heavily impacted by these lower tier apparel bankruptcies.
So we look at stores like Target and Walmart, who aren't going to let Amazon take over the world. What is it? The statistic I saw, I think it was Amazon accounts for 49% of these online sales. So what are the companies like Target and Walmart doing right to stay competitive, as opposed to the ones who we're seeing border up?
Well, I can't really speak to their behalf, but I would say that Target and Walmart are probably trying to increase their e-commerce profile to compete with Amazon, to compete on margins, obviously. And also, to some degree, they have a different share of the market. I mean, Walmart is the kind of place you're going to go in there and you're going to buy, pretty much everything under the sun.
Right.
You can buy everything you want on Amazon too, but people who shop at Amazon are probably picking out specific products that they want, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 at a time. Whereas Walmart, you go in there and you just buy everything. Because you might see things which you didn't even realize you wanted, but you only see them in the store and then, I want
Costco
that.
Too.
So it's a little bit different, but of course, there's a lot of competition. And now Amazon, they're competing on all fronts. They just bought Whole Foods. There's, I think, credible reporting that they're going to diversify into pharmaceuticals, which they're certain to be competitive in. I guess you could say they demolished the legacy book industry. I mean, Borders went bankrupt a long time ago, and then Barnes & Noble has been under a lot of pressure. So they're competing on all fronts.
And you have to wonder what's going to happen with all this real estate. All these Sears, and Toys R Us, and all of this real estate that's now vacant.
Well, yeah, and in Toys R Us now there's going to be 700 new stores hitting the market. To some extent, there's an expectation that some of that slack, the vacancies, could be repurposed in some way. Or for example, maybe Amazon, I think there was a report in Bloomberg that Amazon is looking at potentially acquiring some of the Toys R Us vacant stores. They could use that for warehousing or distribution. So there's a certain amount of slack that can be taken in through other channels. And we also touched on the panel about how also some of these vacant stores can maybe be repurposed into totally different kinds of venues. Maybe you could make a big vacant Toys R Us into a rock climbing gym or some kind of entertainment venue. So I think that going forward, real estate owners are going to be looking for ways to repurpose stores that were left vacant by the rash of retail bankruptcies, and also to some extent it could be filled in by distribution centers, warehousing, which is needed anyway. So, net vacancies are expected to increase in 2018. I think that it won't be that dire because there's going to be some that'll be filled in through other mechanisms.
And it's going to be interesting to see where Amazon lands. For their headquarters. I know they're looking in Miami, so of course Florida's very excited about that. But
I guess I haven't been following that very closely, but I guess they've narrowed it down to a few. I think that DC is still on the list, maybe Atlanta, maybe Miami.
What a boon to the local economy for whoever gets that.
Yeah, big time, of course.
Well, Alex, it was a pleasure to talk to you, and we look forward to more of your reporting.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.